It's Rhythm and Soul Radio. I am Marco Nobles. We have our guest line, our virtual studio open. Is joining us in the virtual studio is a young lady who is actually in New York City right now, as she's getting
Yes.
ready to perform at a conference here that we're going to talk about in a minute. She is a singer, songwriter, musician. ZADA is here with us. Hey, how are you?
I'm good. Hi. Thank you for
Hi.
having me.
Thank you for being here. It's a busy week for you. You're here in New York
Yes.
for uh, Mondo.
Yes.
Um, Now, for those who are not aware, um, can you share what Mondo is for folks to the best of your knowledge?
So, yeah, because it is quite a big organization. But for me, Mondo is a showcase opportunity to perform in front of industry individuals and get to share my story and my art. So that's a pretty big thing for me. But
Hmm.
it's really great because you can go to these conferences and learn about your brand, learn about how to promote your music. So there's so many tools that they also provide for the artists.
Excellent, excellent. And you mentioned you are going to be doing a showcase. You're doing a showcase at Drum
Yes.
in the Lower East Side. Um,
Yeah.
at the time that we are talking, it's taking place tomorrow night, Wednesday,
Mm-hmm.
October 11th. Some people will see and hear this after, so then they'll just go to your website and find out about you. And we'll get to all of that in just a moment. But
Yeah.
tomorrow night, for those who are hearing this, immediately. Tomorrow night, Wednesday, October 11th. It's
Mm-hmm.
at 8 p.m., I believe.
Doors open at 6, but
At 6.
I will be performing at 9:15 around,
Okay,
give or take.
okay, okay. So let's tell everybody about Zeta. I know you were born in Ethiopia. You were raised
Mm-hmm.
in Canada,
Yeah.
in British Columbia, right?
Yes, Whistler, BC.
Okay. So talk about that experience. Um, I'm guessing you left Ethiopia when you were really young.
Yeah, yeah. I left when I was around 4 or 3.
Okay.
Let's say with 4. And then I came to Canada and I went directly to Whistler, and I was on skis probably 3 months after I arrived. So right back into the mountains.
Right. So talk about that part because there's a cultural shift. Many of us we think
Oh
of
yeah.
Canada. We think of the frame of reference for Canada for a lot of us is particularly those on the East Coast. We're based in New York. Our reference is Montreal. It's
Mhm.
Toronto. British Columbia is completely on the other side of
Yeah.
Canada for us. So there's no real thought about what that culture is like there,
Yeah.
and you moved there from Ethiopia, so obviously you may not have a lot of memories
True.
of your time in Ethiopia, but
True.
still I'm sure there's a different type of culture that you
Yes.
experienced in that once you started going elsewhere you realize, oh, there is some major differences from Whistler,
Yeah, for
BC.
sure. For sure. Well, I mean, my parents raised us to have access to our culture as much as we could. I mean, being in Whistler it's like a ski, bike, hiking centric area as well as all of BC. But there were some spots like, funnily enough, the hair salon is where I get all of my Afrobeat music inspiration, and like I go
Mm.
there and all the aunties they'd be there and they're like, "Oh, how are you doing?" And then I go back up to the mountains and freeze myself. But it was good. I mean, I think the biggest change was probably like there's so much dance culture that comes from Ethiopia and the food. So that
Mm.
was that was really different, but shout out to Harambe cuz they kept me in touch.
Okay.
The restaurant over there, they kept me there and happy and fed. But yeah, I think the skiing and the activity part and being a black person out in the outdoors was
Mm.
an amazing experience for me, and my parents allowed that to happen. And yeah, so that was probably the biggest difference there. And also, like, culturally, with people and interactions, it took a little bit to warm up and get people to warm up to us, but now I'm extremely welcome and vice versa, and there's so much love.
Excellent, excellent. So let's talk about the music. So now you play guitar and some piano, right?
Yeah, so I'm mostly piano. I like to songwrite on the piano and start from there, but I picked up the guitar again this year because I wanted something else to be able to travel a bit more and have a bit more freedom there.
Right. Now, I thought I read that you actually started on guitar. You picked up guitar instead of playing by ear. Was that right?
So yeah, I went into a music shop. I think when I was like 8 or 9, and I actually went for the shiniest thing possible, which happened to be the brass section. And I was like, I
Okay.
want that one. We didn't get into that right away. They were like, why don't you try the guitar first? That was what the music or musical guy said to me. And then a couple of years later, I went back to the trumpet. Then I got braces, and trumpet and braces, they do not go together. And I was like, okay, this is it. Okay, I'm not doing guitar, I'm not doing trumpet, I'm gonna do piano. And I did that for a really long time. And then this year and last year, I was like, okay, let's pick this up again.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Um, and you said you mostly play piano. So
Yeah.
did you also start with that playing by ear? Or did you actually take lessons?
I was kind of on and off, like not really the best student because I just couldn't understand how to read notes. So I had plenty of lessons on theory and all of that, but I preferred going by ear. And if I got a classical piece and I did a recital, I would do it. And then they'd be like, you added a few like chords and like, it's cool, but that's not what the classical piece is.
Mm.
And then I was like, I want to just like make my own stuff so I can have a bit more freedom.
Right,
Yeah.
right, right. This Rhythm is Soul Radio. We are talking with ZADA. She'll be performing as a part of MONDO, as a part of the showcase at Drum tomorrow night, Wednesday, October 11th. Doors open at 6 p.m. She'll go on somewhere around 9ish. Um,
Yeah.
so, so if you are able, you can check her out. You're pretty young, but you've been doing a lot in terms of releasing a lot of songs over the last 2, 3 years. So
Yeah, so I started releasing last summer. So
okay.
I put out I think 7 tracks or so, and
Hmm.
then after that the songs came out, and I wanted to work on an album and chip away at that process.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that's where we're at now. Yeah.
All right. So talk about that process for you because you mentioned playing piano helped you songwrite a little bit more, and
Mhm.
you and talk about that process. Like what you mentioned, Afrobeat is a major influence for you musically, but in hearing some of your music, there's a lot of ethereal, neo soulish.
Yeah.
There's a lot of kind
Exactly.
of atmospheric music, soul, just vibes in your music. So, talk about your process in terms of um, the music that you gravitated to, and the music that you seem to be more comfortable expressing yourself in, and how did you come to that?
Yeah. So I think I mean, I've always been a bit leaning towards the alternative side, but also loving African music and the history there. So I've wanted to figure out a way to blend those two together. Um, yeah, so generally I start from the piano, then play a little bit, write a bit, or I'll send it to my producers, and then my producers they'll make like some beats to that, or we'll be in a room together, and we'll come up with the idea and kind of do a jam session to make the
Hmm.
songs. But it's never the same process. I kind of like just seeing what happens.
Okay, and you write all your own songs, right?
I write it with my producer Chin and Jetty and my other producer Brian West, and then we
Oh,
we all share that. And there's this year we've started working with more writers. Yeah.
okay, and so as a songwriter, as a young person, as a songwriter, I'm guessing a lot of that comes from writing poetry and writing and journaling and stuff like that.
Yeah, so when I first started, I think putting pen to paper into the piano, I was 14 or 13. And before then, it was poetry. And then I said, well, if we just add this with the chord there, then we can make it happen. But last year, it was a really tight crew of Chin and Brian and myself. And then this year, for this project, I said I kind of want to collaborate a bit more. So we brought in Elliot Bink and Devin and Mr. Hudson. It's been so much fun to get that new freshness into the project.
Hmm. Now, being in Whistler, British Columbia, you are still based there, right?
Yeah.
So how do you connect with all these people that you connected with to start making all this music?
So when we first started releasing music and making music, it was from the studio Hipposonic in Vancouver, my local city, which was a blast for me. And so it was perfect because it was also COVID times. So
Hmm.
we couldn't really go too far. But then we started traveling for this project, and then we ended up going to the UK. We went to Real World Studios, which was fantastic, incredible. And then we went to LA, which is where I met some of the other writers.
Okay, all right, excellent. And I know there's been a few songs that have kind of stood out for a number of people as well as yourself in terms of what you've released, whether it's like Nomad or Snakes and Ladders and things like that. What what is what is your thought about the response that you've gotten so far from the music once you release it, especially these first few singles, the first six, seven singles that because this is all brand new still.
I know. It's definitely exciting. I feel like I've been working on this for a while, and to finally like get what's in my head out is thrilling, nerve wracking, and exciting. So I love that combination. Um, it's I'm really happy with the way it's being received so far, but yeah, just being able to make more music and having uh, more eyes on the project has been fun, but really the soul of it is to create more.
Right, right. So you've thus far, so you started actually releasing singles last year,
Hmm.
um, and but the singles have all been like kind of one-off projects leading to this project that's about to be released.
I It's a separate project. Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm. Yeah. So, uh, the singles that have been leading up to this project have been Atlantic Times, Sweet
Hmm.
Things in Life, and then we have another one coming out sooner or later, Deep End, and so that's more for the new project. And then the
Okay.
other previous was just me trying to get my foot into releasing and that whole process there.
Okay. So now, have you done the music school thing, or are you in music school as you're releasing music?
I've been on and off again with music school.
Mhm.
With the traveling and stuff, I really learn best from being in a room with someone. And so virtual doesn't come to me as easily, even though I was homeschooled for the longest time. But yeah, so I used to have a piano teacher, and I think I'll down the road reintroduce myself with her again because she's fantastic. Jagoda, shout out to her. But yeah, right now I don't have. I've just got my crew that teach me everything I know.
Okay, excellent. It's Rhythm and Soul Radio. We are talking with Zeta. We're talking about her music, her journey. She is performing uh, tomorrow, Wednesday, October 11th. I have to keep saying the date because people will hear and see this,
All good.
at different times. So if you miss the actual performance at Drum, then you can go to Zeta's website and we'll talk about all that in a minute. You mentioned Sweet Things in Life, which is the most recent single release,
Yes, yes.
which was just released last week, right?
Yeah, yeah, and the video's out with that too as well. Yeah.
Right. Now talk about that because as a new artist, as a young artist, to not only do music and go through the process of creating a song, but then also creating a video independently and getting it released and getting it seen. Talk
Mhm.
about because that's got to be a whole nother level of education and
Oh
learning
yeah,
and
that's the
and
word. That's education is the word because you're always learning something. I think when I first thought of being a musician, I had no idea there was this whole other like music video side of things. But then once we opened that door up, I found a whole another way to create and express myself and collaborate. So it's been really fun for me. And we started working with Blake Jorgensen and Leo Horn to make those videos, and they're so collaborative and really thoughtful and sharing the space for everyone. Yeah.
right, right. So now, well, first of all, when did you first decide you were going to be a musician? What was the timing that said, okay, this is what I want to do?
I think, let's see. I can't honestly remember a day when I didn't want to do music. I think I started out pretty shy with my voice, so I was gonna just do piano, and I thought I could be like a classical pianist, and then I was like, this
Mm.
is way too hard. So then I was like, okay, let me see if I can sing, and then yeah. But I think I honestly can't remember a day I haven't wanted to do that.
Okay. All right. And then my next question goes back to the video side. So now that you once you kind of learned the video process, and again, all of this seems to be happening at the same time because it's all
Yeah.
like a 3 year process. Um, does that make you create visually, so to speak? Like as you're creating
Mhm.
a song,
Yeah.
you're creating you're visualizing in your head the song as well for the video aspect of it.
Yeah, for me, when I make the song, I'm usually so into it. I don't get into the visual side just yet. But then once I'm finished the song, I like all the ideas come in, and I usually have like a little sketch pad that I take with me to the studio.
Mm,
One of my other producers, he loves drawing with me, so we're always just like trading sketch pads and notes and stuff like that. But in the first video we did, Nomad, I got to actually draw out some of the sets, and I had this image of a big stack of suitcases that would represent all the places that I've been, or the metaphor of being an immigrant and moving around. And it's like, can we
mm.
have this massive stack of suitcases? And I was like, can we fit some skis in there? But we couldn't find any. And then I was like, what if I just like sit on top of it, like being the like owning that whole process and that lifestyle. So yeah, I generally love to be a part of it. But
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, I really trust the people I'm with right now, and they completely inspire me. Like, anytime they're like, "Do you want to try this?" I'm like, "Absolutely! That sounds insane. Let's do it."
Awesome, awesome.
Mhm.
So, Sweet Things in Life is the most recent release. We're gonna play that in a couple of minutes. But you mentioned it is not on the upcoming album.
No, that one is
Oh, that one is.
Atlantic. Yes.
Okay. Good. Okay. Good. Good. Good.
Atlantic Times and Sweet Things in Life is on the next project.
All right. And so,
Yes.
and is there a name for the project and a time to expect to see and hear it?
It feels so weird to say it because I haven't said it, but it's the first time. February 2nd, and it's called Water in the Desert.
All right. All right. So everybody's the first to hear it right now. That's that's awesome. Thank you for giving us an exclusive.
Yeah.
We appreciate it. So, with that, let's tell everybody how they can find you, follow you, website, social media, all that stuff.
Yeah, so I have my website, zetamusic.com. And then I also I'm on Instagram as Zeta Music Official, and then TikTok, and then YouTube as well. Yeah.
Okay, and Zeta, of course, is ZADA for those
Yes.
listening on
Mm-hmm.
Rhythm and Soul Radio. Um, and like you said, ZetaMusic.com is the website.
Mm-hmm.
Zeta Music Official is the
Instagram
Instagram and YouTube
and TikTok.
and TikTok.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
and YouTube is Zeta
It's
Music,
just Zeta.
just Zeta.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. We
Ma-
just started up on Vivo, so the Sweet Things in Life music video will be on Vivo. It hasn't been on YouTube just yet, but we're getting there.
Okay, okay,
Hmm.
and that's interesting because there's also the Vivo channel. See, probably sharing more information that people don't need to know. But if you're on Roku, you can
Mm.
see the Vivo Music channel. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
R&B. You know, with R&B, soul music, etc. So we can look for Sweet Things in Life on Vivo Music on
Yes.
Roku TV.
Woo, yeah.
All right, there we go. Zeta, thank you for taking time out. Really
Thank you.
appreciate it. Hopefully, I'll get to see you at the show tomorrow.
Yeah,
I'm
that'd be
definitely going to
awesome.
try to come down and hopefully we'll get to meet in person.
I'm
We
excited.
we are certainly enjoying the music we've heard thus far and look forward to the full album. And the name again is
Water in the desert.
Water in the Desert, February 2nd,
Yes,
2024.
we got to do it now.
That's right. That's right. You gave us the exclusive, so we're gonna hold you to it.
Yes, please do.
All right, Zeta. Thanks a
Good.
lot, everybody. You're gonna listen to Zeta right now. Sweet Things in Life. It's right here on Rhythm and Soul Radio.